Good morning, everyone. This is Diana, your instructor again, and today I'll present to you a very short review of everything you need to include in your midterm speech. The first element is knowing your purpose, knowing your audience. Now, the purpose of your speech is to inform people with the topic you have chosen. So it's all about information. There's no opinion, there's no analysis, there's no argument. Audience is going to be your colleagues, and of course myself. Once you know your audience and purpose, you move to the second step, which is preparing an outline for your speech. Your speech should include an introduction, a discussion, and a conclusion. In the introduction, you need to answer 4 questions. So you need to say who you are, you need to say what you're going to say, in other words, your central idea, or similar to a thesis statement in writing. You need to answer why you are presenting, what makes this choice of topic very important to you, and again, why it's relevant to your audience, and how you're going to present, how long, and when you will handle questions. Of course, in the introduction, you need to have something special in the beginning, a hook to draw your audience attention. So it can be something funny, it can be an astonishing or surprising fact. It could be a quote by somebody. You need to find your way on how to draw people's attention. And in your, of course, introduction, there will be the general background about what you're going to say. So in other words, you will mention specifically what you're going to say in your discussion in the introduction. The second part is the discussion. Here you have your supporting details. And in each supporting detail, you need to explain. And of course, you need to provide evidence. Now, since we are having speeches in academic background, I would definitely prefer if you have evidence taken from academic sources. Of course, there is a way to include your reference in your speech. This is something that I will discuss in a different video. Now, once you mention all of the elements of your discussion, you move to the conclusion. What do you have in the conclusion? Again, there are 4 things you need to answer in your conclusion. The first thing will be signaling, and this is usually happens before the last idea of your presentation. You remind audience that you are about to finish. Once you do that, you have to have a summary. It is similar to the introduction, just summarizing what you talked about, and then you end up with a conclusion, the message that you want to leave your audience with, and of course, thanking everybody in the end, which is the closing remark. So now you have your outline ready, you know your purpose, you know your audience. The third thing to do is to practice. Prepare yourself, rehearse for the midterm speech. So you need to think of your verbal communication and non-verbal communication. If we talk about verbal communication or vocal aspects of your speech, you need first to think of your volume. In other words, you need to speak loud enough. You need to speak up when you are presenting so that others can hear you well. Then you think of your articulation. In other words, you need to say the words clearly. Everything should be clear. In other words, do not eat letters, do not eat sounds. Make sure that you say all the words clearly. And of course, you need to check your pronunciation, especially of keywords or words that are usually difficult for you, so that you are saying them correctly, so that not to confuse your audience. Then you need to think of the rate of your speech. You need to speak fast enough, but not too fast, and slow enough, but not too slow. In other words, make sure that you are saying around between 120 to 180 words per minute, so that people can follow up with what you're saying. And then we think of the pitch. The pitch is the variation of your voice. It is the indicator of your feelings about what you're saying. It is also an indicator when you're saying is important or not important. So how high and how low your voice goes when you're saying something important, astonishing, or something that is really sad. something that is laughable. You see how my voice really goes up and down. So this variety creates the feelings behind your speech. And the last thing you need to think of in terms of verbal communication is the pauses. You need to make sure there are pauses between your sentences. And usually the pause should be second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Do not fill the space or the silence between your sentences with fillers. So don't use a lot of I think. Make sure you have pauses instead. So we talked about verbal communication. Now it's time to talk about the non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication, you can start with your eye contact. Since you are presenting live but online, you need to always look at the camera when you're speaking. So make sure you keep eye contact with the camera. Your audience are just there on the other side. After that, you need to think of your facial expressions. Make sure that you are moving your face in harmony with what you say. So when you're saying something that is so happy, say that, show that with your mouth, with your eyebrows, etc. After facial expressions, you need to think of your gestures. Make sure, even online, make sure you use your gestures, so if you're moving from one idea to another. So gestures are important. After that, you think of the way you're sitting, since you are presenting online. So make sure that you are standing high enough and that you are sitting straight in front of the camera. We will not talk about position and movement because we don't have that much on the camera. But again, if you are presenting and there is information next to you, same as in my case, then make sure that you are not centralized, you are sitting on the side. Now, this is everything you need to think of when you are presenting. The last step, of course, is the warm-up, just 1 or 2 minutes before you start your speech. Do not forget to breathe. Do not forget our breathing exercises. Make sure that you are ready psychologically. So if you're feeling really overwhelmed and afraid, close your eyes. Think of something that you really like. Take a deep breath and remember, you did so far 3-4 speeches. So you will do great now. You are now much, much better than when you started this semester. So I believe that you can do great. Good luck to all of you and see you on the day of the exam. This is your instructor Diana again, and today it was just a quick review of everything we studied from start till end.